hydrant. And when that happens, we move on to step 2, when you get to the point where you know you can handle more daily back volume. I insist on the daily because this is the part of the master plan where now you're going to train back multiple times a day. For this step, you're going to pick 2 new lifts, 1 hip hinge of your choice, and either 1 vertical or horizontal pull. In reality, any back movement that you like, I just want you to pick 1. If you want more carryover to your main lift, let's say you do, for example, pull-ups for your main lift, you might want to pick a secondary movement that is going to be in close proximity in terms of specificity. So for the pull-up, you know that something like a lat pull-down would be very close, so pick that. That is what is known as a soft variation. But the good thing is that we're bodybuilders. So specificity for us is not as necessary as it is for strength athletes. So you could also pick something like a hard variation that is in a completely different family. If you want more variety, you want to try new lifts, that is perfectly fine. Also, use that opportunity to try and diversify the rep range. So for example, you did deadlifts 3x3 and you pick another hip hinge. Let's say a good morning. Don't do a 3x3 on the good morning. Do a 3x6 to 10. That is going to be a better rep range for that lift, 1, and 2, it's going to be more volume. It's going to give you more volume and intensity manipulation, aka more gains. Likewise, if you did a dumbbell row 6 to 10 and you're going to start doing cable rows, do them 8 to 12. It's always good to have different rep ranges in your program because it promotes progression, it promotes intensity, etc., etc. And when it comes to where you're going to place these movements, you're going to add these lifts wherever it makes sense. At this point, you should have a decent notion and idea of your own recovery, and you're not a complete idiot. So I trust that you're going to understand that some days make sense and some days don't. For example, you know that logically, if you're going to add another hip hinge to your program, you're going to want to put the new one as far away from their counterpart as possible. So let's say you train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you deadlift on Tuesday. On what day should you be doing hyperextensions? Well, to promote recovery and performance, the logical option would be on Saturday because it's as far away as possible from the original day where you train the same muscle group and the same body part. Once you get to a point where you have literally so many exercises that you can no longer do this, it's okay to train closer. And usually I would tell you that in this case, it's even better to just do the movement on the same day to promote recovery. Example, let's say I don't have that luxury of doing my upper extensions on the Saturday. Well, might as well do them on the Tuesday alongside the deadlifts. That way on Saturday, I can do a new hip hinge. I have plenty of days to recover and I can promote both performance and recovery. That topic is going to come back later when we discuss adding even more movements to your back training, but keep that in mind. That is how frequency is dealt with. Likewise, if you did cable rows on your Monday and you want to add dumbbell rows, I recommend you do them on the Thursday because likewise, it's the day that is the furthest away from the original day. And if you don't have a choice, for some reason already at this step, you're out of options, you're out of days, it's fine to do the 2 on the same day, but never more than 2 exercises, back exercises on the same day, and never the same family. So you have your back against the wall, you have to do the 2 on the same day, or you're going to make sure you don't do the 2 hip hinges on the same day. You're going to do your hip hinge and your vertical pull, and you're going to push the other hip hinge as far away as possible. Also keep in mind that these 2 movements are additions. They're not variations, meaning that you're supposed to do them in the week. You're not going to rotate anything. Every single movement so far in this master plan has to be hit at least 1 time a week. And you could tell me, okay, well, we're jumping from 3 exercises to 5. That's a big jump in volume. It's almost 50%. Isn't that counterindicated? You are correct. It's going to be a shock to your system. That's how you grow. But we want to ease you into it. And how do we ease you into it? Well, we manipulate the volume. So what you're going to do is you're going to do only 2 sets. These new exercises coming in, just 2 sets, maybe even 1 set for the first week. And in order to make space for them in your recovery bucket, in your recovery schedule and budget, what we can also do is pull back the other exercises. So only do 2 sets on the other exercises. As you only do 1 to 2 sets for the new exercises, that is going to make you recover, you're going to be more performant, and you're not going to be overwhelmed by the amount of volume. The goal, of course, being to gradually build up your way to 4 sets, which, by the way, is also another mean of progressively overloading, because you're going to add a set a week or even a set every 2 weeks. That is a lot of volume, and eventually you get to a point where every single back exercise is hit for 4 sets, and you realize that your work capacity has gone up and the size of your back has gone up as well. And the goal of step 2 is to get to a point where all 5 lifts cohabitate within the same week without any interference in order to accumulate as much quality volume as possible. Now, just hearing me speak, this sounds mighty complicated, but in reality, it's not. If you just take a piece of paper and you go along as I speak, you're going to realize that this is easy peasy. But to make sure that it's easy to follow, I'm going to put in the pinned comments every single step simplified. And also, I want to make sure that you understand that as long as you're doing, you're going to be growing. What I mean by this is that this is not rocket science. I'm going to make you do exercises for the back. Regardless of vertical or horizontal, your back is going to grow. They might grow in slightly different fashion. You might grow more lats or more traps on a given exercise, but ultimately you will grow. So as far as you're learning and applying, you are all good. Do not panic. This is an anti-minimalistic approach to back training, meaning that you are going to get gains. Now let's talk about pull-ups, because some of you guys in this master plan picked pull-ups as your main vertical pull. And you are now at a crossroads because you either want to add another vertical pull for step 2, which is fine, or you are done with pull-ups in the sense that you can hit 10 reps clean. That is my personal threshold to know that you are done with bodyweight pull-ups. If that is the case, here's what you can do. First, we're going to start loading these pull-ups. And I insist on these pull-ups because you're going to stick with the same style. Do not switch style, do not switch grip. We're going to go from as many reps as possible to 3 to 5 reps clean for 3 to 4 sets. I insist also on the clean. If you start loading pull-ups and your form is different from the bodyweight form, you are cheating yourself. You want the same tempo and the same technique to get better gains and better hypertrophy. And then the secondary step you can do is this new movement you're going to add for your step 2 can be another vertical pull, and it can also be a new pull-up. So you could do just bodyweight pull-up chest to bar. That is going to greatly complement your weighted pull-ups. You could also do a new grip. That is when you can experiment with a new grip. Just stick with your body weight. It's a variation. You could also do a lat pull down for 8 to 12 if you wanted a different tension or you want to deload your tendons a bit. That is an option. The reason why I insist on this is that it's my personal opinion that pull-ups are absolutely S tier for your upper back, especially your lats. So if you want to go down that path, this is what you must do. So if we are to recap what's going on in your program right now, you are doing 5 exercises for back for a total of 10 to 20 sets per week. 20 sets being the max volume. You should not be doing more than that at this point. And also, this is what you want to build towards. Before you can even consider going upwards of that, you have to be able to hit that consistently every week, recover and progress. If this is not the case, your work capacity is not good enough. The same applies to step 1. Step 1 had 3 exercises for a max of, I believe, 12 sets. Unless you can hit those 12 sets comfortably, you had no business going up to that. Again, we manage our volume. We only go up in volume when absolutely necessary, meaning that each step should take you some time. You should spend at least 6 months to a year on each step, because the goal is a big back, and a big back is not going to be built in a fortnight. Now understand that at the end of step 2, the ceiling of max volume is already 20 sets. And that is already a lot. For biceps, for arms, for forearms, it would be even a little bit too much. But remember that we're talking about the back. And the back is a complex body part that is very gluteneous in terms of volume. It can never get enough volume. So this means that we can still go higher, but we're not going to go higher just for the sake of going higher. We go higher because we want to grow. So make sure you milk each and every one of these steps. You should, of course, be going to failure, save for certain exercises, like the deadlift, like the hip hinges, you can leave a rep in reserve, maybe even the pull-up. If you don't know how to grind pull-ups, some people can hurt themselves. But for the rest, go hard, go ham. It's very tough to hurt yourself doing a back isolation movement while the lower back is not involved. You should not be afraid. And you're going to graduate to step 3 when you hit that volume ceiling, when you hit those 20 sets, and you start needing more volume to grow. Step